Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching. The channel's called Ratchet. My name's Andrew, and on this special episode, I dive into the Q&As. Run the title. Welcome to the channel if you're new. If you're not, then thank you for tuning in for yet another episode. For all of those who haven't seen all of the previous videos that I have released, you can click up in the top right hand corner and that will take you through to a playlist of all of the previous videos that I have released. If you like what you're seeing, you might do, make sure you hit the subscribe button below so you don't miss any future installments of videos that I do release. You can follow me on Instagram, Ratchet GT40, for more current up-to-date photographic updates of the build on there. Make sure you leave the video a thumbs up, leave a comment. It's always really good to read what you guys think of how I'm crashing through this project. So coming up on this episode, I dive into the Q&As and answer some of the questions that you guys have submitted either via YouTube or on Instagram. There's some really good ones, so I look forward to picking up on those. So let's make a start. It is a kit made by Tornado. It is a Tornado TS40. I think Tornado have been around for 30, 35 years. No idea on the number of kits that they have made. If I'm honest, I'm not an aficionado when it comes to anything GT40 related. I just know I love them. And I just know that I love only one real replica continuation, or otherwise they're all good in my book. I bought a built car because I was pretty sure I wouldn't have the spare time available to me to be able to build a kit from a kit. I've got a young family, work full time, have a life, all of that good stuff. So the thought of ordering a kit, actually waiting the 6, 9, 12 months for it to turn up, and then the 3 years, 5 years to build one, possibly longer, just didn't fill me with the thoughts of how I wanted the ownership of a GT40 to start. Obviously, with all that in hindsight of now what I've been dealing with, I might as well just bought a kit and built it right from built it correctly from the start, but you live and learn. So I bought a built car because I wanted to buy one, jump in it, and start driving it and start making some memories. Obviously, some of those memories on this portion of the journey up until now haven't been great, but there's obviously been some awesome ones, and I hope there's going to be a whole shed load more in the years to come. How much did I pay? I paid a lot. I paid £68,000 for this car. There is a question coming up about would I buy it now knowing what I do know about it, but we'll cover that in a couple of questions time. But yeah, it was a ton of money. It is what it is. But yeah, for those that have asked, that is the number. I'm a development manager for a large volume house builder. So basically I act as the middleman between the client, us as the contractor, dealing with any issues that may arise, also dealing with any internal problems that might crop up, whether that's an office-based issue or in fact on site during the construction phase. So nothing to do with cars, nothing even hands-on. It's just all desk-based, so perhaps I use all of this, fabrication work as, an escape to put my creative skills to some good use. I just looked at this one. There were 3 or 4 cars for sale at the time I was looking. I discounted those due to the state of them. Just by looking at the photos, you could sort of pick up on quite a few things that I wasn't overly happy about. Also the age of the build. Some of them were like 20 years old, so a 20-year-old chassis. Certainly with the Tornadoes, there have been a continual evolution of chassis and components. So the fact that this one was built in 2018, filled me with confidence that the quality of the components that we used were as best as possible. That's a really tough question. Like I've just mentioned, the cars that were for sale at the time that I was looking, I didn't like the look of, so I discounted those, which ended up with me going to look at the car that I did buy. Would I buy it again? Or in a crazy way, I probably would do. I certainly wouldn't want to pay anywhere as near as much as I did, which would probably rule out the chap actually selling it to me. But yeah, like I've said, because of the age of the build and the quality of the components that have been fitted, it's still the parts of the car are still good. How they were assembled onto the car, well, we live and learn. So I would still buy the car, crazily enough, but I would obviously have gone into it with eyes much wider open. I went by myself to look at it. Normally I'm decent in buying any car that I go and buy. I'm very pragmatic and level-headed about how to view a car. But this one, being a boyhood dream, blinkers, all of that good stuff. Just wanted it, bought it, partially regret it. I've not totaled up the hours, really. I get, because of all of this lockdown shenanigans, I'm getting quite a bit of time working in the garage. Like I mentioned, I've got a young family, so when there's responsibilities and duties, obviously they take priority, unfortunately. So in the evenings, once bath and bed's all done, if it's my turn, I normally get an hour and a half or 2 hours in the garage in the evening, and that's pretty much every evening. And then at the weekend, if I can sneak in there for an hour or two, both Saturday and Sunday, I just try and make the most of it the best I can. I've always had a project of some scale. Previous to the GT40, I had an E92 M3 Coupe, which I was tinkering with, change the suspension, change the seats, change brakes, airbox, filter, blah, blah, blah. All of that good tinkering stuff. Prior to that, I've had quite a few other BMWs. I had carried out a restoration on an E24 6 Series. I had an E36 Touring, which I did quite a lot of work to, changed out the interior, slammed it onto 19s, changed brakes. Did quite a lot of work on that one. And then prior to that, there was an Astra Coupe Turbo, which I'd mucked around with, which was fairly rapid. And then prior to that, one car that spanned all of those other cars was an E36 Coupe. Started life as a 318 IS, and over the years, now I had this car 15 years, and it was only on the road for 3 of those. So for 12 years it sat in the garage, slowly becoming an E39 M5 engined car, sat on air suspension with touring car wheels from Steve Soper's old E36 touring car, completely bespoke interior that I was making, Recaro A8 seats. The parts and components were basically as rare and as nice as you could possibly find. I carried out fitting an E46 facelift front end to it. I'd fabricated a new bonnet. I'd made all the bumpers fit, flared the metal wheel arches. There was a huge amount of work, and still a huge amount of work to do. Oh, I forgot about the smoothed engine bay. It was just massive. It was massive. It was a beast of a project, and it dragged on for years, and it got to a stage where I just couldn't really see any light at the end of the tunnel, and by that point this GT40 bug had bitten. So I sold the lot in parts, recouped as much money as I could. Because of the rarity of some of the parts, they'd increased quite substantially in value, so I made some good money on bits, made an absolute loss on a lot of other bits, but we'll gloss over those. So that was unfortunately sold as parts, and the shell was scrapped. So RIP to that one, because I know in the BMW community at the time, this is going back probably 5 or 8 years, you know, it was quite a build, and there was quite a lot of interest, and every now and then I get a little pang of sadness that I didn't see it through, but that's why I'm so hell-bent on getting this 40 done. Just by picking up a tool and having a go. I can't remember who it was that told me, but they said, you know, things are just held together with nuts and bolts. So if you compare a job back to its simplest steps in a methodical manner, take something apart, remake it, it's all just nuts and bolts, and then just throw in a welder and an angle grinder, and you're sort of 50% of the way there. So everything has been self-taught. I've had a couple influential people in my life sort of rub off on me and fuel that passion for messing around with cars. So I'll always be grateful to them. But yeah, it's all self-taught. All I've got is a Sony vlogging camera. Can't remember the model. I did research it at the time and ended up buying that. Standard microphone. I picked up an Amazon tripod that I use every now and then. And the camera came with just a handheld sort of stick that I use when I'm doing the little walk around tours. So it's all pretty basic, but it does the job. It's just a double garage, nothing more than that really. I've tried to maximise the floor space by hanging as much stuff on the walls as possible, and just trying to use the space as best I can. Yes, that is a staircase. I don't have any fancy upstairs accommodation. It was purely made for storage. I made the staircase probably 18 months ago out of old scaffold boards, and yeah, it was just to try and maximise as much space in the garage as possible. So everything that I can get up those stairs has been stored up the stairs, and I do go up there a lot. Tools are kept up there that I don't use every day. Likewise, you know, most of the car is also stored up there as well. So yeah, it's been a really good idea to make it and get it installed. With jobs like I'm doing at the moment, I don't spend a huge amount of time researching, if I'm perfectly honest. I'll have a browse around the forums, have a look around at some pictures to see if anyone's done anything that I like and I want to plagiarise or use and try and improve. So, you know, this panelling has been partially guided by some of the photos that I've seen online. Certainly where I've cut around the front panel, that was an idea that I saw from the GT40 forum. But the majority of the work is the answer arrives just through necessity of ending up with something that I want to see as the finished article, if that makes sense. So all of the panelling around the back end, I knew what I wanted to end up with, and then I just formed a plan myself and then just cracked on and got it done. Yes, there is plans, engine wise, possibly this winter coming. I'm going to take it out and repaint the block, hopefully change to fuel injected throttle bodies if I don't change the engine in its entirety. Not quite decided, but yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. Suspension wise, yes, there are plans. Whether I can make them happen this time around, I want to fit a lift kit to the front because of the angle of approach I have to my driveway, and the height that I want to run the car. I'm just going to end up smashing the nose if I don't fit a lift kit. The lift kit I want to fit, I don't think will fit around the upper A-arm or fit in between the upper A-arm, so I'm going to have to fabricate some new upper arms. So yes, they're plans. Whether they happen, I'm not sure. I want them to, because if I don't get it sitting, if I don't get the car sitting how I want, then yeah, it's, well, the stance of the car is going to be massively important. So I need to get it sitting right so it looks its best. Just love owning it, to be honest. The long-term plans will be to, all being well, to keep it, put a ton of miles on it, make a ton of memories in it. At times it's all felt like a bit of an uphill battle. I enjoy just making things. I enjoy only making things once, sussing out the issues and the problems and the workarounds. When it comes to making the other side or the second side, it's not something I enjoy so much. I don't tend to give it as much thought and as much consideration, which I know I should do. But the whole fun for me is in the problem solving and that initial creation of the item that gives me the results that I want to see. You need to really appreciate what you're buying. I've never bought a car so blindly and blinkered as this car. So if I was to ever buy another built kit car, I would be crawling over it inside and out, trying to pick up on any bits and pieces that were just, not as I would like to see. So my advice, understand what you're buying, really know what you're buying. Moving on to that, if you do end up in my position or buy a part-built car, don't fix anything down until you're 100% happy with it. Like I said, I'm completely dry building this car, and then I'll strip it all down before I start fitting any panels, before I start riveting and sealing in any panels. I've taken off each panel probably 50 times, tweaking and altering, or another job means that one previously has to come off. There are so many reasons why you shouldn't fit the paneling until you're ready to finally assemble the car. I hope you've enjoyed this slightly oddball episode. I don't think these videos will be happening too often, if in fact again, and usual service will resume in the next video. Time to get back out into the garage. If you've liked what you've seen, make sure you hit the subscribe button, follow me on Instagram, GT40, and up until the next video, I will catch you next time.